Our sixth and final match for the European Hearthstone Grandmasters is coming up, and that's admirable. Darroch Brown is joining me for, I'm going to go ahead and break this up. Last cast here for Grandmasters this week.
I'm off. I'm done after this week.
Oh, we got
after this game.
We got a banger of a match, though.
Are you going to miss me?
Maybe. It all depends.
Come on.
It all depends on your analysis in this particular match.
That's not looking good for me, then. It's got to be said. But we are definitely going out on a highlight match because I don't know if you agree with me here. I would say that we have the two best playing players in Europe so far in this matchup.
Wow.
They've just been playing fantastic Hearthstone, and it shows in their results. 5-0 and 4-1.
I definitely don't have that question. Counteract.
3-2, sorry, not 4-1. 3-2 now. I
don't have like a counteract that question. I think the matchups that Casie has lost, one of them he was super unfavored. One of them, it was a non-match. But that kind of happens when you bring Hunter. Like Hunter, I think is the most susceptible to having non-games because it doesn't have super explosive automatic win the game potential in every single matchup. But taking a look at Seiko's deck. This is the Water Rogue, as Hunter Ace had dubbed it, not because it includes Finja of the days of old, but because it has a different oceanic theme to it with Spear of the Shark and Sea Giant. And honestly, this deck has looked pretty clean.
It has. Probably because it's had a swim in the ocean.
Ah, yes, ocean water. The cleanest.
Yeah. Well, anyway, as you can see, up against Casie's deck here, you've seen the Rogue a few times. It plays Spirit of the Shark, it does a bunch of Battlecry stuffs, it plays Lackeys, and it hits you in the face very hard. Casie's deck, on the other hand, is a little bit newer, a little bit less prevalent, I would say, at least in terms of most ladder decks that we've seen recently. The combos it generally relies upon, I would say, are Master's Call is the heart of the deck, allowing you to draw all your beasts together and go for very powerful combos. But against Rogue in particular, I would say Scale Hide and Dire Frenzy is really where the power of the deck lies.
It definitely is. The ability to recover and just continuing to swing back boards where a lot of Rogue's minions are not very attack efficient, but rather they're just very efficient minions in general. Vicious Scale Hide operates super well because it keeps a high health total post Dire Frenzy and draw. For Casie, the early turns, though, are about making sure he doesn't get blown out. So you want to have removal to early minions so that you can keep your health total high and just move towards turns where you start attritioning Seiko down in this matchup. We saw Casie end up falling to the hands of Swids, who is playing a pretty darn similar deck.
Yeah.
Missed a deadly shot on a big Edwin.
Yeah. Swids set it up very well. He had the opportunity, if you recall back to that game, to make a 10-10 Edwin on turn 2, I believe.
Yeah.
Which would have played exactly into deadly shot. He would have lost on the spot. There was no shadow of a doubt in there, but he played around that. He knew that was a possibility in Casie's double deadly shot list, and so he very beautifully set it up. And for Casie in this particular series, it looks like he's in much, much less danger of just being blown out the game at the start.
And already just such different play than I think you typically see from Bunny Hopper and Viper, where if they're going to make a play like this, they're going to think through it, they're going to take their time, they're going to find out all the iterations. And I think in this particular spot, I think that they would also conclude that you play Vicious Scale Hide here. I'm talking about Bunny Hopper and Viper specifically because they're practice partners with Casie in part. The deck is one single card different for Casie, which is one tracking became a deadly shot.
That's true.
And I think that was accounted for because of his opponents. Probably knew that they had a high potential to bring Rogue or something that played big stuff.
Yeah, I wonder. Because, I mean, we saw that deadly shot, I mean, it wasn't good against Swids, but it very nearly was the only card that could win him that game.
Yeah.
Or, well, it was the only card that could win him that game. It just didn't work out in that instance. But I think in general against Rogue, Deadly Shot is not looking to be too powerful. I think the random effect when you have a whole bunch of lackeys in play is often too much of a risk to take, and therefore you focus generally on developing your own game plan, just pulling ahead on board early on.
Which some of it isn't pulling ahead on board early on. Some of it's taking advantage of Unleash the Hound.
That's fair. That's fair.
Which is a card Casey's looking to keep in his opening hand in a lot of matchups. And so kind of looking at it, the pace of play that Casie has is really one of the most unique factors that I continuously see about him. He is so comfortable in matchups because he gets a lot of reps on them. He says that he loves to play matches more by muscle memory, more than by having to think through every iteration. So when he finally takes his time, what that means is he feels like he's in an actually tough spot. Probably one of the toughest spots he'll find himself in a series.
Absolutely. You can see it from his expression and from the fact that he took more than 0.3 seconds on his turn. He did not want to kill command there. But what else does he do? He just has to take the damage if he goes for Master's Call. Probably would only be able to spend the 1 mana on a Shimmerfly, I guess.
Doesn't want to use the Hatchet without getting the buff. Has Unleash the Beast in hand right now, the lone copy of it. And so I think he has a lot of potential to just continue to fight for board over and over again until he starts finding big payoff attrition turns. Okay, I'm interested. You have my attention.
His hand just doesn't do anything. I think I like Shadow Stepping it back. If he gets Spirit of the Shark, it's ridiculously good.
This Vicious Scale High that Casie drew will not be tempoed out pretty much ever.
Not here. I think there's a chance he goes for it later on, but I agree.
Second Scale Hide.
Yes, second Scale Hide, saving it for the Dire Frenzy is pretty crucial. It's definitely fairly high up on his priority of things to do in this matchup.
Notably, Casie did not check the secret this turn. Kind of interested in that.
Yeah, he didn't check for anything.
And he wanted the Hatchet down so he could fight 2 minions at once in tandem with the Unleash the Beast and the Hatchet. Now Casie is doing some good work in this game already, just showing that he knows the game plan. Just kill all the Seiko stuff.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Setting up for, like, he tried the tempoing out game plan with the Vicious Scale Hide into Animal Companion. Didn't work. Switching over now to a more reactive game plan to swing things back in his favor.
2 free damage.
Yeah, I mean, it is a charge minion. I think Casey's fairly happy to see that just because it dies to an easy Unleash the Hounds in one of the coming turns.
Gets the snipe check. I love all those cards just hit play before anything happens.
Right, the arrows are just flying around before you can even see what's happening.
However, this did not pan out ideally for Casie. The additional minion gone is a big deal for these Scavenging Hyenas being smaller. However, the caveat to that is that the Scavenging Hyena is not the most important thing in the matchup. It is an attrition war. If you cannot run Seiko out of aggressive potential, you cannot recover the game.
And we are seeing from Seiko here the power of of High Sparrow Togwaggle being shown, or at the very least, the respect he shows for the power of it. Going for the High Sparrow Togwaggle over clearing the Hyenas.
Which I actually...
Which is risky.
I'm not...
You don't like that?
No. I think this is dangerous.
It's dangerous. Seiko's middle name is Danger. Actually, no, that's not true. His name so far, his middle name has been considered and cautious play.
Uh-oh.
I mean, this could go very wrong for him.
Uh-oh.
This could go very wrong for him.
I think this is some of the worst news he could have gotten. And so the question is going to be the trade-off of Wondrous Wand for the trade-off of a Hyena that requires a grand amount of attention right now.
Here we go. Let's see what he can find.
I mean, mind you, there's not a ton of spells in this deck. They're just minions. So the payoff you get, well, Vendetta's certainly one of them. And minions to boot, so he is totally safe.
That was a very reasonable selection to find off the Wondrous Wand.
Now, granted, that's going to be most of his deck at this point.
Yes, yeah.
My worry was, if that Hyena sticks, which it technically wouldn't this turn,
upgrade to throw on a potential Waggle Pig later on is quite tempting. Yeah, I like it.
I'm just always nervous about hyenas.
They're scary minions. They are very, very scary. You generally, the rule is if you see one, you kill one. In Hearthstone, not in real life. Just thought I'd throw that in just in case.
Too soon.
I love how it's like, I could say this for the Waggle Pick, or I could just spend all my mana and blow up all his stuff.
I mean, he's so far ahead in... Well, he just has so much stuff. It's not even that he's far ahead. It's that his mana utilization for the next few turns is 100%. He just is not going to run out of stuff for a long time.
Wow, look at him account for the health total here as well, where he uses the dagger to go face and trades off the 2/4 body.
I like it. It's like...
It's 1 point of damage.
Kind of just the one way he's losing, right? It's by taking damage to face.
I think that's good recognition.
Yeah. And speaking of said damage to face...
That didn't quite hit the mark.
No, don't worry, Casie. That draw
drawing last.
It would never have changed his play.
Hyenas, both of which have been played.
Nothing changes his play.
Okay.
He's killing the board.
I guess you're right. His plan now pretty much looks to be either somehow sticking this board, which would be a bit of a miracle,
Get to Zul'jin.
or find Zul'jin. Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Only one tracking in the deck, though, which definitely makes it less likely that he finds it.
Okay, Dire Frenzy still being good.
Dire Frenzy's okay. Like, it's good, but it dilutes his deck, which gets him further away from the Zul'jin, which is very bad.
Right, so it depends on how much Seiko has going for him at that point. You know, I think that Dire Frenzy with Vicious Scalehide can buy him a lot of time.
Yeah. Stormbringer as well. Of the Henge Clan Burglar. Could be pretty interesting.
What on earth?
Is that a cattail?
I have no idea. Whoa, multi-shot!
Okay. That's a card.
Seiko just has so much gas to. He's closing on lethal. Wait a second.
If he goes Waggle Pick Face. Oh, there's the Rhino in play. I was going to say if he doesn't play a minion, then Casie would not be able to Scale Hide heal. The Rhino gives charge, which takes precedence over Rush, and would allow the Vicious Scalehide with a Dire Frenzy to attack face. So he's taking out the Rhino.
I think he's taking out the Rhino because it's easy.
Well, the things he needs to be afraid of here is the balance between how does he lose to random cards with Rhino versus how quickly does he need to kill Casie to stop Zul'jin. The answer is he needs to play aggressive. I love the use of Vendetta. Okay. Keeps him alive for a couple more turns.
Wow.
I mean, if he can go Dire Frenzy into Zul'jin, that's obviously the dream. It's just now he is less likely to find Zul'jin is the problem.
Master's Call is a lot better now, though.
That's true.
How much damage does Seiko have
even
here?
Just drawing one of the Scale Hides on the next turn is fine with Unleash the Beast too.
17 damage, 18, 19, 20 on the follow-up turn. Ooh, Seiko has suddenly found himself in a pretty tough spot where if he can't start closing the game, things are going to get ugly.
Zul'jin or Master's Call both completely turn this game around.
Yeah, he's going to look for lackeys. He says, you know what, this damage plan, I have a Shadow Step, so it's still there, but I got to handle this Scale Hide right now. Oh!
Okay.
Oh! He doesn't handle it!
What is the choice here? These are all so good. Vendetta? Just to kill off the Scale Hide now?
You're going to have to Blink Fox.
Face. Yeah, yeah.
Or discover a new spell with...
Well, he's already got the Stormbringer, right, to reduce the Vendetta.
Well, he's just got to be able to kill the Scale Hide. Like, yeah. He doesn't have a way to kill it right now. And so the question is...
He's digging.
Yeah, he did some quick calculations there and said, I can't deliver lethal pressure in the face of this spell heal.
He could just go for the Stormbringer as well on this turn.
Oh!
He's doing it! Ah, that's pretty bad.
Oh!
Wow.
My goodness!
Casie is in this game quite decidedly as well.
But Seiko's also in this game too. I mean,
yes.
There are some big outcomes that can happen off of the generations. The thing about it is Casie has the natural draw potential to make that happen. Seiko's getting worn down, and he has to have a random outcome pull him out of this. If you think you can calculate what's better, a draw from your deck or some random cards that get some nonsense done, you're wrong. You could probably think of the ones that get you out of this, but what are the chances that happens?
Seiko showing pretty much his first signs of weakness at all here in Grandmasters.
Oh boy!
Spirit of the Shark may be the card he needs to turn that around, though.
It's just staring so much damage. With the Life Drinker with the Crystal Smith Kangor restores 6 health apiece. He goes up to 28 with Shark Life Drinker this turn.
That's pretty sick.
I wonder. Choose soon.
Is he saving the Spirit of the Shark for more value later on?
I mean, I think it's not about value. I think it's that he's just losing board. He has to make something happen.
Guess you're right.
Like, can you let 2 scale hides connect again? Like, Casey's gonna be at infinite life, basically. Seiko's shaking his head.
Casie, however, is just top decking from this point on. Until he finds Master's Call or Zul'jin, he is just playing off the top of his deck.
Yeah, Seiko's still able to regas this turn. And, oh, wow. Can he play that this turn with all this stuff? 7-6.
He's
It'd
just
have to be
thinking
something
the Blink Fox
ridiculous to happen. Double beast your hand, that's not good.
Those are terrible, man.
Oh!
Seric Master Cloner, can he cast anything on that? Casie finding another pretty miserable draw. He's just going aggressive here, trying to close out the game.
I mean, he's at 28.
If he trades into the Novice, then it would have to be a face hit with represented on board to clear it off.
He's perhaps thinking about Sea Giant exactly as well.
True, Shadow Step to bounce it back and draw more cards.
You know, what random minions could your opponent have gotten from Violet Haze and Blink Fox that impact the board?
I'm struggling to think of much.
I think there's a lot of reasons to just kill the Novice Engineer.
Okay. Things could go wrong if you don't.
Like, he's not going to... I don't think he's going to get the damage race done. Oh, boy.
Oh, the healing is so big.
The damage, too. The counterattack.
Both are big.
This game has been nuts.
Should he kill it off first if he wants to do that? Because then only 3 lifesteal is given as opposed to 4?
Well, I'm glad he slowed himself down.
Is he going to do that anyway? Oh, no, wait, but then he needs to think about Sea Giant. He needs to think about Sea Giant.
Hunting party, the life drinker.
You can, but you don't, is the answer to that. He's got to take board. And looking at it with the Sea Giant, this is the correct way to do it if he wants to kill it off either way. Because he just needs to be able to play the Sea Giant in the same turn.
He's shaking his head.
Is he thinking the same thing? Yeah, this was fine. I mean, you could argue it was better to kill it off.
Might he have played the Leopard Gnome first and done this? Uh-oh, miserable draw. Oh, no. All right.
Horrendous draw.
So Casie had a lot of time to draw cards that had high impact. Now, granted,
he has not found them.
There's just a couple left at this point. There was Master's Call, there was Mark Shots, and there was Zul'jin. So for the last 3 turns, he is favored to draw a super high impact card.
And he's missed it like 3 turns in a row now. He can kill off the shark. I mean, he has to, right?
Shark just demands respect.
He has to.
That card is just powerful.
11, 12 damage represented up to, how much is that, 18 with the Leroy? Seiko's just homing in on lethal.
He's actually 1 damage off lethal in this spot.
Oh, because of the Leopard Gnome Death Rattle.
Yeah, because he's got 11 on board. Waggle pick! And Seiko finds the damage necessary. My goodness, what a rumble between these two.
What a weird, grindy game. Despite both players going all in at the start, the curving out from Casie at the start was looking very strong. And then Seiko's turn, where he hits Togwaggle on curve. Even leaving up the Hyena, he felt so confident in that situation. Manages to get a victory at the end, but he looks visibly shaken there.
I think that Seiko is catching small little things that can make a big difference in that one. I think he's getting caught up in the pace of play that Casey's having, and at the same time, just unfamiliarity with cards that you don't play with.
Yeah.
And catching little small things that maybe he can be doing differently in that setup. Honestly, if he wins, I have to ask him about that, because that's the first time I think I've seen him have that kind of reaction to his own play and his own outcomes.
It's just seemed easy for him at the moment, not just to win, but to make the plays that he has. It hasn't looked particularly mentally taxing, whereas up until that point, there were so many decisions in that game that could have been done differently. The key one, of course, being Togwaggle on 6 or kill off the Hyena, of which I'm sure there are many different arguing opinions as to how it should have gone. Obviously, if he doesn't play the Togwaggle there, he loses all his lackeys, so it was unlikely to work out anyway.
If you don't play the Togwaggle there, when are you going to play it?
Right, exactly.
Take the hit, recover afterwards. Demonstrated the importance of building board tension at the right time to try to get a payoff. So we're going to a quick break, and when we come back, we're jumping into game 2 of this and see if they have any tricks up their sleeve, because I'm spotting a couple. Stay tuned.
My name is Casie. A Grandmaster means to me that the last year of 2018 was a success. After having so much tournament success and getting to Grandmasters by most of the time just gaining points, gathering points and just performing well in tournaments means that I did something right. My goal was to get to the highest level of competition, and Grandmaster is the highest level of competition, and I achieved it, so I'm super happy. What I'm really good is at playing off muscle memory. So at the start of any meta game, the first week, I figure out the best decks, but I play them pretty poorly. So I just keep playing them till I actually know everything. And this is just, preparation is key. I don't only like Hearthstone, I love it, it's my passion. My life, like, it changed a lot since I started playing Hearthstone. I used to be really, really shy.
Really?
Yes. And then, like, after Thais, Crane talked to me, I just got a confidence boost. And from there, I changed quite a lot. Try to be the best what I can get out of myself, and then I'm gonna be happy.
It's Hearthstone Grandmasters, and we are amidst our 6th and final match here of Sunday in week number 3. Seiko leads 1-0 over Casie right now, who is swapping over to his tertiary deck here in Specialist. You get to swap up to 5 cards, which have to be predetermined heading into the week here. And his tertiary deck has a couple of things that can really help impact the amount of stuff that Seiko can do in a turn.
Should I explain what those are now? That's
usually what that inflection on my voice means. When it goes down and then you talk afterwards, you know, the thing we've been doing for 3 weeks.
Oh, you're good at this. You're getting the hang of it. You'll get there.
I'm very mediocre, but it works.
Should I do that now then? I'm looking at Rat Trap and Life Drinker in the spotlight cards that we have for this matchup. We've seen Rat Trap time and again. Even if it doesn't activate, the threat of it is what's scary. When it's in play, limiting the Rogue to 2 cards every turn is a nightmare. Rogue relies on playing multiple cards a turn. It's the identity of the class. They get all these weird, cheap little spells, minions and lackeys, and play them together in perfect synergy to do absolutely disgustingly powerful stuff. 2 cards a turn, however, is not good enough. And that is where Seiko is going to be limited, Seiko, with the Rat Trap.
I do think it's pretty exceptionally powerful versus this rogue list in particular as well, where you're looking at Novice Engineers and Evil Cable Rats, little things that you need to do, and then also no saps, no eviscerates. It's Vendetta. That's the lone minion killer. So you have to have a random card in your hand from not your class. And then secondly, you don't have a way to really super advantageously take advantage of that 6/6 when it hits. You can't prep sap it.
I mean, you're right. You just have to either be so dominant on board when you go for it that they can never kill you, or you have to just set up lethal.
I'm going to eye this Flare and Spirit of the Shark the entire game.
Ooh. I always forget that Flare gets rid of stealth as well as secrets. It's always the underutilized half of that spell.
I can recall the first time I ever played a stealth minion. It got flared. This Shadow Step to me makes much more sense, as there's Evil Miscreants in hand.
Did it not make sense the first game?
It made sense, but not as much.
It was more dubious.
Dubious, that's the right word for it.
Suspect.
You're smart, Derek.
A compliment, it finally happened.
I'm gonna miss you.
Oh.
I hope you like my invention.
All right.
Well, apparently producer Mike is not. Thankfully, I'm not going to miss him either.
Hey, no one even heard that. You didn't even have to bring that up.
What if Mike never existed and this is like Fight Club and he's like my alternate persona?
I mean, rule number 1 is you don't talk about the Hearthstone Grandmasters, which you're doing literally right now.
Quiet, Mike. I can't hit Admirable. Not appropriate. Quiet, quiet.
Casie making as much work of the board as he can. Approach is basically identical to game number 1. Kill all of Seiko's stuff until he's out of resources.
Which ain't going to happen this game.
Well, it didn't happen last game either. I surmised that it was more possible. In this game, what I'm noticing is that the deck just has a lot of little annoying stuff that continues to generate value. Evil Cable Rat, Novice Engineer, Blink Fox, Evil Miscreant, Henge Clan Burglar, Spirit of the Shark to double them, Shadow Step those things back, Waggle Pick, Heist Bear and Togwa. This deck doesn't run out of stuff, it just keeps going.
It doesn't, and therefore the literal only thing stopping Seiko from just running away with this game is the Rat Trap. Look at how absurd this turn could be if he could go off. He's considering playing a 4-4 Edwin here when it could be, what is that, like a 12-12 on this turn?
I think he's also considering just loading up. I think that's the thing he's considering as well, and he's going, yeah, I can't do that. Unleash the Hound's Deadly Shot kills me.
He knows that there is one Deadly Shot in Casey's list because he switched over to the Tertiary now that he's seen Rat Trap. Because it only has one copy of Deadly Shot in the Tertiary.
Still, if you move into that spot and he has Unleashed Deadly Shot, you lose your minion and you take 6.
Yeah. Yeah, the Rat Trap being summoned, if your Edwin dies, there is pretty much game over. At the very least, a miserable situation.
The timing of when that happens is going to be super important.
Yeah.
Seiko needs to be able to take advantage of it, or has to be so against the wall that he goes, you know what, I'm just not going to win if I don't play all this stuff.
Maybe he should have done, because he's going to continue to be limited in what he can do. Does he go for...
I think you keep taking your time.
Novice Miscreant burn a card?
Well, he's got 2 Vendettas this turn.
Or would that burn a card?
So if there's a turn that it happens, I think, you know, we may be looking at it as this turn. So there's a spell.
Yeah, backstab.
So then you get Miscreant, and then you can get your 2 lackeys. Now you pilfer.
This is the activation turn. Yeah, the backstab Vendetta. He's finally found the opportunity for it.
Goodness, this took a while.
It did. But it was a smart way to go about it. The pick of the pilfer. Try saying that 5 times quick. Allowing him to go for the Vendetta is a gorgeous play here by Seiko. This was the turn where he pulls himself back into this game. And Casey's hand, weirdly enough, now gets better because Seiko has pulled into a good position in this game. He can start responding effectively to what Seiko is throwing down.
The one concern I have is that Seiko is landing High Spare and Togwaggle next turn.
Yeah.
So Casie, I think, can read into the 2 lackeys one of 2 ways. Number 1, he just wants stuff in play, not to worry about High Spare and Togwaggle. Number 2, he has High Spare and Togwaggle, so he wants lackeys in play. You know he's got a lackey, so you're not stopping High Spare and Togwaggle. Is occupying the mana ever worth it? Don't know. You got to figure out a way to fight back versus High Spare and Togwaggle if I'm in Casey's spot.
There's not much. High Spare and Togwaggle takes what he wants, which in this instance is Casey's life total. Wow. Oh no, wait, this is how he plays around High Sparrow.
He knows that Seiko's got another lackey in hand, though.
Yes, he does.
I think for Casie, it is honestly about making sure that everything is occupied.
I mean, it clears stuff off the board, right? But
it makes him use the lackey.
It forces Seiko, to use the mana and to use the lackey, but there's no preps in his deck, so he never had the ability to go High Spare and prep 1 for 1.
Ooh.
Casie finding the combo a little bit earlier on in this game that could maybe have saved him last time, and with the Master's Call in hand, it's looking significantly more likely to save him.
It's such a different setup than what was previously there. However, we have a kicker in place, which is A, Seiko has Shadow Step Leroy, and B, has Wondrous Wand
so
for
much value.
3 cards. So if he picks up more damage effects...
Wow, those are good options to get reduced to 0 mana, and he gets the Zul'jin! What does that do? What does that cast?
So right now it casts a Shadow Step, a Vendetta, a Backstab.
A Pilfer.
Pilfer, yeah. The Wand.
The Wand? That's insane.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to stop tracking it because there's a ton of stuff. We've already named good cards. So
it does stuff for 10 mana.
Wait for it to happen if and when it happens.
Why is no one playing Zul'jin in Rogue? That's what I want to know.
How is Seiko getting the Zul'jin before Casie does?
That's true.
It's in Casey's deck. Casey's game plan right now is continue to buy time until he finds Zul'jin, and Seiko is just popping off with all the value in the world. He's never going to run out of stuff.
Which is kind of why I find it interesting that he took Omega Assembly. I think that's kind of just running into the trap of filling up your hand too much when he has this much value, but whatever. It's just more stuff. He can play it just for 1 card next turn. Is perfectly fine.
Spend infinitely. The way you're going to beat Casie is by wide boards running him out of gas. So given the webcam situation,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
can Casie win this game, seriously?
right, what is he looking for here? Master's Call could get a buffed up Vicious Scalehide and a Springboard.
How does he
played both of them?
How does he like win though?
Yeah.
Like,
well, Zul'jin is the answer to that. He has to cast a lot of spells and then get into a position where he's too far ahead after playing the Zul'jin.
All right, so Casie did have a disconnect, and we've gotten word that he's back in the game now. Rope burning, natural territory for Casie. However, there's just so much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even finding the small Scalehide is not what you're looking for in that situation. But like we've said, only 14 cards. He has 14 cards left in deck, which means he's getting closer to that Zul'jin to try and get it to pull ahead on board. Was that a Sea Giant as well? Oh, more stuff.
Leroy fuels the Sea Giant partially.
I hadn't even considered that combo. It's not anywhere near lethal, is he?
Well, it's not lethal, but he's
10,
pushing.
16, 17. He was close, actually. Like, he was at 23, 24, I think.
He's pushing heaps of damage.
Yep.
He's clearing off board. And he's getting Leroy back.
He knows that Casie did not draw a big Scalehide off of the Master's Call as well, because he just played the small one.
Why not go in?
Seiko could go to 6-0. And it's looking like he will. Casie is looking for any way to stay alive here. Taunt, Kill Command, and the Life Drinker. Can that even buy him a turn?
Goes up to 15, and you're staring at lethal on board.
He throws it down, and Seiko is up to 6-0 after Casey's dominant start, down to a 3-3 record. And it has to be said now, can anyone stop this man?
My goodness. I've learned so much about that match. I was actually struggling against Hunter with this deck. And Shadow Stepping Novice Engineer is a play that I was not making at all. Like, I was not even considering it. Watching what ends up happening with some of the pop-offs when you have that cheap enabler, because you get to draw 2 cards, and the whole game plan is to keep Hunter on the back foot so that they are answering you, and you turn their game plan right back around on them. You attrition them out instead. That is something I had not considered and was a brilliant display of the matchup, I think, from Seiko's side. Casie, I think, unfortunate to not see Zul'jin and not really have a distinct game plan that pays off there. But again, when you have the lead, you need to capitalize on that and close, and we have seen Seiko do that in every single game he's played so far.
Yeah, I think he just showed really good understanding there, because the way that you kind of lose against Hunter, I think, is if you go too all in on the burn plan, which Rogue is obviously very proficient at, especially the raiding party variants that we've seen. Because in those situations, if they play Dire Frenzy with a Vicious Scalehide, you can lose. We saw how much health Casie gained over the course of those 2 games. But for Seiko, he realized playing the Togwaggle as often as possible, getting that Wondrous Wand, redrawing as many cards as possible and never running out of value, just meant he was in no danger of dying at any point, and Casie just really didn't have any roots back into that game.
And Seiko sounds like he's ready for an interview. Seiko, can you hear us?
Yeah, hey guys.
Hey, indeed. My goodness, who's going to stop you at this point? You have just defeated everyone so far in very convincing fashion. Do you have a weakness? Is it kryptonite?
Yeah, I think I showed some weakness today. Like, I didn't realize in game 2 that I had a random card, so I could have just won the game with Edwin.
Right.
So I was pretty upset. I realized right after I played it, so that was pretty bad.
In game
and
number... I'm sorry, continue.
I just liked my discover picks. I think I could have picked some better options game 1 as well. So I don't know. Wasn't optimal played today, but was enough.
I wanted to ask you about game number 1 in particular. You showed some facial expression that you might have been a little bit frustrated at some stuff was going on. What was going through your head, and what was causing that?
Yeah, because I realized myself that I messed up some plays, like even trading off the Scalehide when he was like at almost full HP, and then I I don't know. I think I played Drinker first, and then I don't wanted to trade anymore because I just lost damage. Like just some small stuff I just realized right after I played where I messed up. So I don't know. I was pretty stressed this week, like because this is the week where I faced 2 pros, and I probably practiced too much and stressed myself too much. So
Well, we were talking about
wasn't on point.
Yeah, we were talking about that with Fino, about he felt he'd had better performance when he'd taken a little bit of a step back and allowed himself to get into a good mindset. And I guess that's part of my question is with the amount of practice you put in, were you feeling less comfortable with this deck because you haven't played it as much as the other decks you've played in certain weeks? Or was it just the fear of playing against Casie, and I believe it was Hunter Ace as well that you were up against, that made you feel a little bit less comfortable this week?
I think it's just the 2 opponents I was uncomfortable, but like I think I practiced way too much this week. I should have relaxed a bit more.
All right, well, you've beaten 6 of the 8 people in your division now, and Orange is the only one left. Is there anything about Orange that worries you at all? I mean, you had mentioned that this week you played against 2 pros. I would have said that for your first 2 weeks as well. How do you feel about your matchup versus Orange next week?
I think I'm fine against the rest. Yeah, I'm happy that I don't face the 2 from this week for a few weeks now. Have a break from them, so I'm pretty happy.
All right. Well, I think you've had a fantastic performance thus far, and I wouldn't let it get to you too much. Just take a breather because you are at the top, and you are crushing it right now. You joined Fino and Monsanto as the only 3 undefeated players across all Grandmasters. Congratulations on your win, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, thanks. See you.
It seems insane to me that Seiko, who has been playing such unbelievably good Hearthstone week after week, is afraid of another player. How is that possible? He's so good.
I'm just wondering why he said this week he faced 2 pros.
It's kind of an interesting point to bring up, though, because I feel like the players' impressions of other players here in Grandmasters is very much affected by not only the results they've had, but also who they practice with. Because a lot of players have much more respect for players within their own communities, their own practice groups, because they see them make these powerful decks and powerful plays week after week. And I think that it speaks to that. Casie and Seiko, both members of the German community, practice together a fair amount, I believe. And I mean, Hunter Ace is Hunter Ace, right? He's the world champion. There's reason to be afraid of him.
And so, honestly, like, just the thing for me is that I do think that this is the week where Seiko has had like some minor technical things that were going on. And it's due to him just having a bunch of random cards generated from Blink Foxes and Henge Clan Burglars and so on and so forth. Like, that is probably the most critical I've heard someone be of their play in a game where they're having that many random outcomes happen at the same time.
Right.
And I think it is a bit of a testament to sometimes random can be skill testing. Sometimes it's not, but sometimes it is.
Yeah, and I'm glad we got to see good utilization of that from Seiko. Even though with the incredibly high standard he holds himself to, I think he can still hold his head high after that game, defeating Casie, who now sits at a 3-3 record after what was a pretty dominant start for him.
Yeah, and I think he can hold his head high, indeed. 6-0 up at the top. Has not lost a game. 6-0, 12-0 game score. He joins Fino in Europe on the other side of the division. So I'm seeing some playoff stuff happen here up top. And Monsanto over in America is still undefeated, where I believe he plays later today versus Nalguidan. And that brings me to my next point, which is we're going to Americas after this because Europe is done. We've had our 6 matches, which means that we got to go to a break. And when we come back, TJ and Frodan are joining us for the post. And then we're shipping it over to those boys and saying goodbye to Derek. Stay tuned.